Hello, I'm Dr. Vyas, and we're continuing our series on inflammation with this video. In this video, I'm talking about inflammation as it relates to diabetes, or how inflammation actually causes diabetes. So stick around, this is going to be interesting stuff. So we all know that diabetes means your body cannot break down or handle sugar that you're putting in the right way. So we all are, guilty of overindulging things that are processed foods or things that are what we call high glycemic index foods. Now, what I mean by that is when you put those foods in your body creates a big surge of this sugar, your glucose in the body. Now, when your body senses that, your pancreas produces a hormone called insulin to help break down these sugars and bring that back to normal. Now, again, the way I said, this overindulgence of all of these sugary foods and the processed foods causes your body to maybe break down a little bit of it, but the rest of it actually, because that sugar is supposed to be a quick source of energy. Now, when you put in too much of that, the glucose, what your body does is it's going to store it as a reserve of energy, and that means it's fat. And that is your abdominal fat. So what happens is this abdominal fat, or visceral fat as it's known as, actually becomes something called a metabolic organ. This fat can actually produce hormones. Now, not just that, this fat, when you have accumulation of a lot of this fat, and that's one of the big telltale signs or reasons why somebody that's overweight is more prone or ends up with type 2 diabetes, is because that fat is going to produce oxidative stress. It produces free radicals. Now, these free radicals produce what we call an oxidative stress to the body, and that your body perceives as an immune or an inflammatory response. So when it has inflammation going on, what does it do? It sets off that immune response. Now your immune cells come in and kind of see, hey, what's going on with this area? So as I said, this adipose tissue, the fat cells as adipose cells, they produce a hormone called adipokine. Now this adipokine, and then the way I said, your immune response produces white blood cells, which are your macrophages. Now, macrophages and adipose cells have actually a very interesting relationship with each other. They feed off of each other. So the more adipocytes you have, the more macrophages or the more cytokines you create, and that creates more and more inflammation, or that cytokine storm, as it's called in the body. When you have a lot of this inflammation, your body actually causes damage to all the cells in the body. So these cells cannot actually absorb or become what we call insulin resistant. That means your pancreas, the beta cells in your pancreas keeps producing a ton of this insulin, but the cells say, hey, our receptors are already blocked, we're not going to take any more of this. So that insulin, when there's too much in the body, your brain just says, hey, we got enough of that, start slowing down. So as this process keeps happening over and over, the chronic issues, and with the chronic inflammation stuff, your beta cells stop producing a lot of this insulin. Now, they don't completely just turn off. They actually slow down. It's almost like a hibernation mode. Now, research has actually shown, there's ongoing research right now that's showing that when you actually give your body that right environment, which means if you control your diet, you're allowing this visceral fat to be burnt off, using up all this energy by exercising, watching your diet, just a lot of these lifestyle changes. They're showing that those beta cells can actually turn back on. So they just went into hibernation mode. That means that your insulin production went really low, and sometimes people have to take an external source of insulin for them. But if you control your diet, produce a lot of this, your beta cells may actually start producing the insulin back again. So there you go. There's one way to actually reverse type 2 diabetes. You might have heard this a lot of times and sounds like, oh, rah-rah and hoo-hoo. But what happens exactly is your body can reverse this type 2 diabetes because it can actually start producing that insulin one more time. So there you have it. It is the biggest thing, again, as I said, root cause medicine. It is the inflammation or the inflammatory response your body is creating that's causing damage to your pancreas and your beta cells, and thus you end up with type 2 diabetes. So let's correct that. Diet changes, lifestyle changes, modify, move around, do a few things, and you can actually reverse type 2 diabetes. Now again, you hopefully take this information and do a little more research before you just suddenly do what I'm just saying. But there's a lot of science and research out there that show that you can actually reverse your type 2 diabetes by reducing the level of inflammation, this chronic inflammation in your body. So I hope this information has helped, and if it has, please share this information with people. People need to hear this stuff now, right? And as always, I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.